And we are live, and welcome everyone back to the Sanctum Sanctorum. I am your illustrious host, Widow's son, and with me, as always, is Dr. Cyrus Oblivion. Um, Doing a late night one tonight. Decided just to mix it up just a little bit. I know everyone is used to the normal broadcasting schedule and everything like that, but I thought tonight we would just do a little something a little different. You know, me and Doc are pretty much night owls most of the time. I mean, considering that I work overnight at my job, pretty much like 3-4 nights a week. I'm up all night pretty much all the time anyway. So we figured we would do something just a little bit different tonight. So yeah, we're going to be just having a good discussion. I'm going to be watching the Discord, see who happens to be live in the Discord, and we may try to send out a link or two if we can. Doc, how you doing this morning or tonight or whatever you want to call it?
I'm doing pretty good. It's definitely been a Saturday.
So
for me.
So basically, your Saturday consists of, look who is here. Wanderer has showed up right on time. Wanderer, I was
Isn't this bedtime?
Oh, God, oh, really? Oh, no, hey. Save that for the match. We're still ironing out the details for that. So, wow, Faith is here. So, yeah, no, I had told Wanderer we were doing a late night one tonight, and he told me he was going to set an alarm so he could be awake when it was going on. And TWC is here. What's going on, my friend? So yeah, looks like we're gonna have a nice little crowd tonight. So I'm just so we're apparently going live in Faith's car right now. She's leaving her friend Ashley's house, who was listening to us last week while we were mobile. So
nice.
Right. So yeah, hey man, second time that we know of in someone's car, But so you said it's a typical Saturday, so let me guess, it was
busy Saturday.
Huh?
It's a busy Saturday.
Oh, busy Saturday. So basically what, DDP yoga and jerking off and diamond cutting everything in sight?
Yeah, I diamond cutted a couple of stop signs.
No, you did not, you liar.
No,
liars go to hell.
Well, you'll be right next to me, buddy.
No, probably not. You, as I've explained to you before, I don't believe in the concept of eternal punishment. So, but that's a different discussion for a different time.
Yeah.
But so no, what have you been up to today,
dude? It's one of those days. It feels like I actually don't have anything to show for it, but I've been busy. I had a couple of phone calls I had to hop on, and that took like a couple of hours or so. And then I had to help get a friend to and from work, which is pretty cool. And not on my part. It was just it got me out of the house and got me to go do something away from the apartment, which, a lot of my friends, and they're like, can you give me a ride here? Can you come do me a favor? Sometimes, especially during a pandemic.
Doc's already going to hell for trapping StooDogg in the bathroom purgatory.
True. But, so yeah, I mean, I had to, so a lot of times when friends ask me to do them favors, especially in the pandemic, I seize the opportunity because it gets me out, and, I haven't been able to really go out and see people because where I live, we've had huge spikes in COVID cases because of all the tourist areas, and the bar owners in those areas aren't enforcing any of the rules. They are allowed loopholes that nobody else is allowed, and it's quite frustrating. I mean, so much so that people are wanting to recall the mayor who won last year's election, or it was either last year or the year before that he won.
Well, speaking of mayoral elections, I found out Jason, he's been the mayor of our hometown for the last 8 years. He's not running for re-election this year. Which I think is a mistake.
Well, Well, I can understand both sides of this, because I can understand why he wouldn't want to do it, because you tend to get pigeonholed, and I think he has bigger aspirations than being a mayor in our hometown. But also, too, if he ran for re-election, he's guaranteed to win, because
of course he is.
He's been a great mayor, and the thing that's so cool about his situation is, while he is a Democrat in a largely Republican city, he's done such a good job that even the Republicans love the guy, and the Republicans vote for him. So
right, but he's the first Democratic mayor that our hometown has had in 30 years.
Yeah, because 6-2. Ray Mabus. No, it's governor.
Huh?
No, I was thinking like Ray Mabus, but I was like, no, he was governor.
Oh, I mean, if Jason ran for governor, I mean, I honestly think he may stand a shot, but it would be very, very, very close. But,
well, dude, so sorry, go on.
But that's not that's neither really here nor there. But I mean, I was really shocked to see that because actually he had originally announced that he was going to run, and then I think it was like a week or so later, like he released a statement saying that he wasn't going to, because I know he just got married, he's about to be a dad, and I mean, running a city is no easy task, especially
Yeah.
I mean, plus the guy is, he's one hell of a lawyer. So yeah. I'm pretty sure he'll probably take a little bit of time off, and then he'll probably go back to the lawyer game, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, if you think about it, him going back to being a lawyer will be such a, that being a former mayor of that town will be such a boom to his career. But he also, I can understand why he does not want to run for re-election, because a lot of those city council meetings are in the evenings. And with him about to become a dad, a guy just doesn't want to pass that opportunity up to be there for his, children.
Yeah, that's true.
Children. And so, honestly, I don't fault the guy for that.
I don't either, but at the same time, I mean, he's done so much good for that city, and he's brought so much business and revenue into that city over the last 8 years that's kind of hard to ignore. But like, if you watch any of the posts, like from the mayor's office or on his personal page or anything like that, the people that love to run him down are the people that are a big part of the reason that there's so many COVID spikes and everything throughout the state, and they just want to sit there and they want to talk shit and they want to run him down. It's like, okay, and this is something that I was going to bring up because it's worth mentioning. And of course, I'm not going to mention any names, of course, but there is someone that I have known for over a decade now. Older guy. And he is a die-in-the-wool, Blue Lives Matter, Trump supporting, clearly doesn't have a real understanding of what BLM is about. Likes to just post a lot of shit about how Trump is so awesome and all this other kind of crap. So hang on a second. What's this? Not the hero we wanted, but the hero we needed. Exactly. Jason was the hero that our hometown needed, most assuredly. If you Wanderer Faith, if you guys knew anything about our hometown and subtracting the last 8 years and the Republicans that have ran our home city, they have ran it into the ground. They didn't bring in any businesses. They pretty much just tried to keep everything as tight knit as possible, just to make
just to more or less line their own pockets. I mean,
right.
when the mayor before Jason decided to take a stretch of the road going right down the middle of town and convert it into 2 lanes from 4 to 2 with a truck in the middle.
No, actually, that I can agree with that. That actually helped cut down on a lot of the traffic, especially because that little strip going through downtown it's so quick that you barely notice it, but once you hit it, it's a lot quicker. So I will give him credit that. But anyway, I digress. What I was talking about.
Every time I've been through it, the traffic, like at high traffic times, the traffic's just awful.
Well, that's because you don't know how to drive.
Well, I mean, you did teach me, so
I didn't teach you shit. You ain't gonna blame your inefficiency behind the wheel on me. I mean,
that's true. I'm too busy, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, you would know. I mean, you're just
something.
But no, he's posting, like, he consistently just posts all this stuff, and like I said, I've known this person for over a decade. I'm best friends with his youngest son. We have known each other for forever. And hang on, what is this? Oh, I have a feeling Wanderer's drinking like coffee this morning because he set an alarm to be up, to get up just so he could be here. But anyway, and this is somebody like I looked at like another dad, right? So he's posting all this stuff, and I'll go and read it, and I will clearly point out, apparently Wanderer's list. Apparently he's still in bed. Well, hey, however you choose to enjoy and interact with the show is completely up to you. So he posts all this shit, and one of them, hang on, let me pull it up because it was I found it very interesting. Let's see here. Okay, it's a picture. It looks like a mugshot, and it said this man went into a Windermere gated community to steal a car. He was confronted by the homeowners. He beat the homeowner to death with a bat, then beat his wife almost to death with a bat, then went into their home and beat their son to death with a bat while their 10-year-old son hid in the bathroom to call 911. This is the equivalent to a knee on an innocent man's neck. They were innocent. No one is outraged yet. Ask yourself, why are you afraid to share this? And his life matters more than mine. This is basically like just like white, white supremacist bullshit is all this is. And I made the comment to him, and in the comment below that it says, "I guess white lives don't matter enough to make the news." Okay, this is what I said to him. I said, "Let's see a news article on this because clearly something like this would make the news. So let's see some proof." And basically, he told me, he's like, "Why don't you try to find other truth if you don't believe this one?" And I basically just said to him, all I asked you for was a news article, and you want to talk some shit. So, yeah, if something of that magnitude actually happened, it would have made the news.
Oh, there definitely would have been a news article on that because.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So it's just he's just posting all this, this pro-Trump white privilege, white supremacist bullshit, and he wants to get mad at me and call me an asshole because I'm calling him out on his stupidity. So you know what? Fuck you. That's exactly what I say. You're going to post a lie like that, and when I call you out and ask you to actually go and do some research, go and do some homework, find a news article that backs up your claim or this post that you put up that you support so much and you claim that white lives don't matter and it would make the news if they did, fuck you. If you cannot prove it, if you cannot find the news article and post it and prove me wrong, then go fuck yourself. So he compares a literal psychopath killing a family to a man dying by the people meant to protect people in the community, presumably because of the color of his skin. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And I mean, while you do have people who would justify, like, the guy breaking in and bludgeoning and killing people, because you've got, no matter what happens, you always have somebody in every crime that makes it to a national stage. You always have those people who try to justify it. I mean, like but Charles Manson had women sending him love letters from prison. So did Ted Bundy. So,
but at the same time, something that brutal and something of that magnitude and something that brutal, there's no way that wouldn't have hit the newspapers or hit the TV news. There's no way that would have been ignored. And it's so funny because I call him out on all of these posts, like, he put one up today. He put one up today that said "Police lives matter." Who's brave enough to share this? And I said, so basically, are you saying that their lives are more important than everyone else's? And he just said no comment. And I'm like, you answered my question. Thank you. And one of his little loudmouth pansy friends wants to start jumping on me because I called him out. And the guy's gonna, like I said, now I've known this guy for over a decade. I'm best friends with his son.
Is he somebody that I might know too?
No, probably no. You wouldn't know him. You may know his son, but I don't think you've ever met. I don't think you've met this guy.
So what's interesting is I've talked to a lot of, because I've got a lot of friends in law enforcement, and I support the police myself. And what's really interesting is whenever you hear these stories of corruptions, the cop, oh gosh, wonder.
Share this if you are brave enough to admit you are the Wonder, you got me. That's not funny. That's not fair, man.
But
you're supposed to be on my side.
he's on the side of chaos. I respect that. So
no. Look, when it comes to picking on people on this show, Wanderer is supposed to be on my side. But now, because of the battle that's going to be taking place between you two coming up very, very soon, I'm impartial. Hang on, let's see what Faith has to say. That's just like all those women visiting Chris Watts in prison after he murdered his prego and two little. Oh yeah. I'm talking about the other dude, not. Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, my bad.
Wait, look at the next comment.
Yeah, I know. Oh man, I think we're gonna have to have Wanderer come back on so we can have a battle of the promos before the actual event, which we do need to set a date. And for those of you who are listening right now, and we'll be listening later on, there is still going to be the battle of wits between Wanderer and Doc.
So
we're going to try to pull. I'm going to try to set that up. We have to. We still have some details that we have to iron out. So right now, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to try to push for it. We're gonna book this like a kind of like a press conference, exactly. So we're going to try to set the actual event up probably mid-September. We're going to promote this kind of like a pay-per-view, even though it's going to be absolutely free on YouTube. And we'll probably do kind of like a press conference in a couple of weeks, but we're gonna get all the details ironed out. So, but it absolutely.
Oh well, what I was gonna say is like when you have these cases, with cops and like corrupt, police corruption or police brutality, my cop friends are the ones who are crying out about it the most because they're the ones who.
I'm not laughing at what you're saying. Doc smells really bad.
He never showered. I think you mean he never showers. You left the S off.
Look, if this keeps going, I'll bring Wanderer in here.
I think it's past his bedtime, isn't it?
You're the one that's starting this, so you.
No, but what I was saying is the cops that I know are the ones who are actually like pointing out and decrying police brutality and police corruption the most when it happens. But they also too have brought in some really interesting statistics, and the chances of any encounter with the police ending in like an actual brutality type of situation are astronomically low.
Oh yeah,
and
but my whole thing with it is if you're gonna have the audacity and just stand there and say that assert, and I understand the purpose of what BLM is about, and I respect it so much because it's.
Are you talking about the movement or the organization? Because there is a distinct difference between the two.
I'm talking about the movement.
Oh, okay.
The movement is very important. Hang on. What is this? It's 6 a.m. Bright and early. Also, you're here.
Well, Well, Coleon Noir, he is a black gun rights advocate, and he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And Joe Rogan asked him what he thought about Black Lives Matter, and he said, "I can get behind the sentiment. I just can't support the organization." And Joe asked him,
right. I mean, organizations and movements are two completely different things.
No. There's an actual Black Lives Matter organization.
I know that. But what I'm saying is,
Coleon Noir was like, I can't support that organization because he was like, they've got Marxist, they're Marxist backed. Like the people who founded it, the organization itself are backed by Marxists, and he won't get into that at all. And so it's. And there are a lot of people who feel that way. They're like, I can get behind the sentiment, but I just can't support the organization itself, And but I think the best explanation that I heard is because if you look at all the stuff that the black community has had to deal with, there are a lot of issues that you do look at, and you've got such things as usually they don't a lot of the communities don't have the economic opportunities that their white counterparts would have. They don't have the opportunities to succeed for various reasons because of a tax base issue or whatnot, and so like I can understand when people are like, when we say Black Lives Matter, we're not saying Black Lives Matter more than all these others. We're just saying that when you've got a house fire in a neighborhood and you're like, hey, we got to put out the fire at this house. We got to take care of this house. And somebody goes, well, hey, my house matters too. Well, it's like, well, your house isn't the one on fire. So I can understand that logic and pointing out the problems there, because there are a lot of problems and a lot of issues that civil rights leaders have been talking about for years. And they have mentioned that you do have issues where schools in inner cities aren't as funded as much. So therefore the kids don't have the resources that kids in better off neighborhoods have. And then on top of that, you've got other people who want to further cut subsidies. They want to cut all of the benefits that would naturally go out. And they're giving these communities less money to actually operate under. And it is kind of one of those things. It's like, it really isn't a fair situation. And if they did more to help pull the people in these impoverished areas and help bring them up, because when I was working as a teacher, I saw it firsthand. I saw students who were smart students, and you knew if they had a different set of circumstances, they would have excelled, and they would have been, because they had it. I mean, you're like, this kid is really smart, but because he had, crappy home life, and he may have had a great home life, but he had other situations that were holding him back. And sometimes it was just the school district just did not fund anything that would have helped the kid out. And so you see it, and you see these kids fall through the cracks, and it's awful. I mean, it really is.
I mean, I completely agree. But, my whole point is that if you're going to, and especially a lot of these, and I'm just gonna call them out for what they are. If you're going to be one of these idiotic Trump supporters who clearly doesn't read, doesn't do your homework, doesn't have a clear understanding of why people are so pissed off and why they're standing up and why they're protesting peacefully, let's keep that in mind. Now, yes, there has been rioting and looting and all that other kind of thing But, that happens when people have just had enough, when they are fed up and they don't, and everything else, when they're fed up, things like that are going to happen. Let's go back. Let's look at Watts. Let's look at the LA riots in 92. Let's take all this into consideration. But if you're going to deliberately post something that is clearly a lie, and when someone asks you to prove it, and all you're going to do is going to name call and talk shit because you've been caught in a lie and you've been busted, you may want to rethink your circumstances, because when you're called out for your lies and your bullshit, you deserve to be completely ridiculed. And like I said, I've known this person for years and loved him like my own father. But to see this bullshit and to see this going on now, you have completely lost all respect that I ever had for you, because you're clearly, and I'm not going to go into any more detail about this particular person, because some of the things that I know would absolutely just make you sick to your stomach, and I'll tell you those, when we're not on the air. But my whole point is, and this is the last point I'm going to make on it. We'll move on to something else. Is if you're going to be one of these Trump nut huggers who clearly, you need to, wipe the orange out from around your mouth, because, it's clear what you're doing. And you get called out, don't get pissed off about it, because you've just been made out to be a fool. Nobody likes that, clearly. And yes, it is aggravating. But on a public forum like that, when you've clearly posted something that is completely, or shared something, because he shared it from another page, and it was clearly a lie, and it's clearly this, white, white's better than everybody else bullshit, go fuck yourself. If you can't back it up when somebody asks you to post, like he made a post a while back about, hang on. I've got to. I'll let you and Wanderer kind of go back and forth for just a moment while I look this up, because this one was really great.
Yeah. No wonder I don't have anything to say about your roast. I haven't really been thinking much about it. It didn't impress me.
Okay, this is what it was. He said, I am 100% against defunding the police. I actually think they deserve more pay. I told him, I said, teachers deserve more pay. Cops do not. I said, and side note, it's been shown that places with better education have less crime. So in fact, teachers deserve more money and resources. He basically, and he says, whatever.
Well,
and hang on, I actually went and did some homework, and I went and read up on the criminal justice IR research website, and I posted a link to it, and it's about education and crime. And he said, what the hell is that? I said, information showing that better education lowers crime. And all he said was whatever.
Well, what's really interesting, there is a document put out by the Giffords Law Center, and they are a left-leaning organization. And one of the things that they put out was a really long study. It's about a 92-page document, and talking about, and it says, in pursuit of peace, building police community trust to break the cycle of violence. And one of the things that they said is that we should actually increase police funding. Keep in mind, they are left-leaning, so you would think they would say we shouldn't fund police more. But their whole argument was if we funded the police more, we could pay them, we could pay for better training, we could pay and retain better officers. And one of the other things I suggested too was the cops actually getting out and being a presence in the community. And we're not talking about like, you know, everybody just sees the cop car sitting there waiting to pull over speeders. We're talking like cops hosting events in neighborhoods, like, you know, ice cream parties and things like that get them, and, you know, going around the neighborhoods where they are set to patrol and introducing themselves to every person there and putting a name with a face and getting on a first name basis with the people there. And what winds up happening is that builds up the trust in the police department, and it does bring along safety because people go, oh yeah, that's Bob, he's our cop, he's a pretty cool guy.
Right, but it's also been statistically proven that better education in all areas, whether it be rural, inner city, or whatever, better education does in fact lower the crime rate.
Yeah, and they're not denying that. They're not saying that. I mean,
right, but see that was my whole point that I was trying to make to him, was that instead of giving, because basically when the cops are given more money, it gives them the ability to militarize. That's exactly what it does, because they turn around, they use the money for riot gear.
No, because the problem with that, there is a federal program that allows the cops to get military equipment, and
which they don't need.
And well, there is a reason for that, and I'll get to that later. But that program says that in order for them to get that equipment for free, they have to use it within a year. So it's that program that kind of encourages that. But the reason why, I can't remember where, it was like near Hollywood, but in the 90s, there were some guys that got some full auto rifles. And we're not talking about your typical, you're not talking about your typical semi-auto rifle like an AR-15 or a hunting rifle. We're talking, these guys had like full auto AK-47s guns that were outside the confines of any law that the U.S. has. And they had body armor. It may have been, it was North Hollywood, I think that's where it was. And they went to go rob a bank, and they just had the cops outgunned, and the cops just had their pistols and a shotgun. And they wound up shooting one of the guys, and then once they had neutralized one target, they could then go and try to neutralize the other guy, and that's when they were swarming him, and he could see the cops closing in, and he turned the gun on himself and shot himself. And it was after that cops, police departments started getting, like the armored vehicles, that they started getting that equipment because of cases like that have happened. And but you can also something I will say, you can also be concerned about the militarization of the police and still be pro-police and support the police departments, because again, I've got friends who are cops who they do feel that way about it, because they're like, we're here to protect and serve, and when we are viewed as occupiers and the enemy, it never ends well for anybody. And they were like, we are to protect and serve, not occupy and rule with an iron fist. And every cop I know will tell you that. Just the ones I know. Now, I know there are other cops out there who want, because you do have some bad seeds, because you got bad people everywhere who, if they have any ounce of authority, they abuse it. We've all had that one boss or that one manager.
Well, like I said, my entire point in pointing that out to him was the fact to make him aware that better education in any area lowers the crime rate. And it's been proven on more than one occasion. But this is someone who apparently seems to think that I mean, and it's clear to me. I mean, with the stuff that he posts, he wants to completely defund not properly fund education. Because I'm just going to go ahead and say it, teachers, like your average teacher, what makes what about 25K a year, if that?
No. If they it depends on the state for one, and it depends on two things: the state and the school district.
Okay,
And,
well,
some of them where we're from, they make about 35, 40K a year.
Okay, teachers should be making at least 75K a year. They should be making at least 75K a year, if not 80K a year. They deserve more money and better resources. Doesn't matter where they are. I mean, I'm not talking about these uppity private schools and all of that, because they're just backed by rich alumni and all this other crap. Screw those. I think that private schools should be completely done away with. Privatization of things like education and all of that should be completely done away with. If everyone is not good enough to go to your school, then you need to shut it down.
No, I don't have a problem with privatized education at all, because I've got stories that can tell you how private schools have actually helped people out. Case in point, when you've got
Wanderer just made a good point. He said, as a British citizen, I think the U.S. gives the cops a little too much free reign with weaponry and such. I completely agree with that.
Well, what do you mean by that, though? Because I mean,
giving them the ability. I mean, giving them the ability to have tanks. I mean, I've literally seen police departments who have tanks.
Okay, well, when riots break out, what do you suggest that they do? What do you suggest happens?
Well, I mean, you don't need to go in there. I mean, you call in people who are, supposed to have that kind of equipment, like the National Guard or the Army or something. But, as just standardized police officers, they really don't need military grade equipment and military weapons.
Huh? What about SWAT teams? They are tactical.
SWAT teams are one thing, but SWAT teams are one thing. I'm talking about just your regular street cops. SWAT teams,
and in most cases, and in the overwhelming majority of cases, regular street cops don't have that. They don't have access to it. Most of that equipment belongs to the SWAT teams.
Like I said, SWAT teams, they need that.
Yeah, and they're the ones who usually have it. You won't find many departments. I would dare say, if any, are like it's only in your bigger cities that you will see them having like the armored Humvees or the tanks or whatever. But a tank, as we know it, you really only see SWAT teams having access to that, and that is and they use those in rare cases. Like if you've got, some type of terrorist group or some militia group that's controlled by a nutcase or something, then you will see them get the tank and drive it right through the concrete wall.
I think within certain deployments and situations, yeah, guns, fine. They should have guns for a noise complaint.
Well, they have to carry their guns with them at all times, because any situation a cop gets in could easily escalate and turn into cops getting shot at. So people, for example, people are, one Wanderer's right here. SWAT teams are not used on noise complaints, and you don't see cops showing up to doors with a tank, to quell a noise complaint. They just show up and they're like, "Hey, we received a noise complaint. Can you please turn the music down?" Well, what happens when you have a situation, a cop shows up, knocks on the door, and somebody, says, "Oh shit, it's the cops," and they start trying to shoot the cops. Well, if the cops don't have their guns, they don't have their weapons in the way for them to defend themselves, they're just sitting ducks. And one of the things that cops, absolutely the scariest scenarios that they ever have to deal with are two. One of them is traffic stops, and the other are domestic disturbances. So when a cop has to answer a call like, hey, there's this man beating his wife, they absolutely hate going to those calls because those are the ones that will become the most chaotic. And a lot of cops get killed trying to intervene in a domestic disturbance situation. So when people are like, we should defund the police and then redirect those calls to social workers who will then go take care of those calls, it's basically going to be like, oh, wait, well, we need to give these people body armor. Now we need to give them pepper spray. Oh, the pepper spray doesn't work. Let's give them tasers. Oh, sometimes the tasers don't work. All right, well, let's give them guns. And eventually they're going to wind up rebuilding the police in those situations. And or the cops are going to be sent out with them. And these calls, my big concern with all the calls that people have for defunding the police is it's going to lead to a reduction in salaries of police, which means the good guys are going to leave, the bad guys are going to stay, so more complaints will be levied against the cops. But then on top of that, you're going to have a scenario where they're going to say, well, let's send out these social workers. They send out the social workers. Well, the social workers are going to need police. Well, another issue that's going to happen is a lot of departments are already subsidized by tickets. So when people are like, man, I'm hoping I can get out of this ticket. I'm hoping I can get out of this ticket. They can't get out of the ticket. Well, it's because that department is actually being subsidized by how many tickets they write. And that leaves just too much room for corruption. So if you want to give the police, to allow them more leeway to not write tickets for you going 10 miles over the speed limit, give them more money on that. But there have been plenty of cases that we've seen. And I think one of the reasons why we have all of these cases of police brutality being featured or cops who have just overstepped their bounds recently is because we have cameras everywhere. The cops have body cams. We have cell phones. We have surveillance cameras everywhere. And so I don't think the actual cases of police brutality have increased. And from what I've seen, those have actually been on the decrease. And we've also not had as many officers, too, nationally. And when they started mandating police have body cams, what wound up happening is the police we started seeing fewer complaints about police brutality. And when the cops were like, no, I didn't do anything here. I didn't say that. And the body camera footage comes out, the footage from the car comes out and totally backs up the officer is saying. So it's helped with a lot of those. But there is a video that is really interesting. All that being said, there's this really interesting video, and it's tragic. But it's this white guy. He's in a hotel. He's got his hands up, and he's trying to follow the orders of the cops. You can tell that he's terrified, and this cop's yelling at him, and winds up just lighting the guy up with a gun and killing him. And even all of my friends who were cops, they were like, look, the guy was compliant. He was following orders. He was following the orders that the cops gave him, and he still lost his life. That has upset a lot of good cops, and they were like, this is clear this guy should not have ever had a gun, let alone be a cop, that he did that. And by the way, thanks for letting me go off on this rant for a little while. What winds up happening is people are like, maybe we need better training. And what's really sad is when you look at when a cop has to go get trained and recertified in something, oftentimes they have to do so at their own expense. The department doesn't have it in the budget to afford it. So then people are like, well, why doesn't this guy train more often? Well, it's like, well, your city's not covering it, and your city also subsidizes their pay and their budget with tickets.
Well, my whole point is that we need more funding for education.
Oh, and I agree.
My whole point is we need more money for education. The cops should be getting the same amount of money that they're getting. You know, they don't need a bigger budget. Teachers and school districts need a bigger budget. Better education does in fact lower crime rates in areas. So that, you know, that's my whole point. But you're welcome for being able to go on your little your tangent there.
Well, and on the education side of things, though, you look at the state policy. When I worked at because I went back and worked at our high school for a little while when my sister was there.
Yeah.
And one of the policies that they had is, you remember, if you had an unruly student, they would suspend the student or send them to the alternative school. There was a policy that came straight from the State Department of Education that said you can't suspend a student and send them straight to an alternative center unless you go through this process and you talk to one of these board members and we look at it as a board. Then we determine they go. So they basically took the decision-making power away from the schools, and it would take up to 2 weeks. So you'd have this kid who knew he was going to the alternative center, and he would just wreak havoc in the school and raise hell. And the principals hated it, the teachers hated it, the superintendent hated it, but because of the stupid State Department of Education, their hands were tied. So, and then on top of that, like you were saying, whenever a bond issue comes up to increase funding to the school, you've got people voting against it because they're like, I'm not going to allow my taxes to go up, blah, 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 blah. But then they complain that the schools are a mess. And I'm like, well, because you're not voluntarily voting to have your taxes raised so teacher pay can go up and the kids can get better stuff.
Well, you know, be that as it may, my whole thing is, you know, the cops don't need a bigger budget. Education needs a bigger budget. That's my whole point. But anyway,
I'm agreeing with half your point there, though. But I'm saying the cops do need a bigger budget as well.
Oh,
I'm saying education and police need a bigger budget.
Okay, well, we need to move on from this because I didn't mean for this to like take up practically like, you know, almost 30 minutes of the show. But my whole point is just calling out these idiots who think that everything that is said and done that's coming out of Washington right now from Bunker Boy Crybaby is right, and it's not. So, you know, I'm sorry, but I just, you know, I have to send just a big hearty fuck you to that guy because he's just. And the simple fact of the matter is, you know, this is somebody who is retired, receiving clearly their retirement Social Security and supporting someone who wants to gut it and eliminate it. So he would have no choice but to go back into the workforce at his age. So you know what? If that's what he wants to do, then he needs to get off his retirement and get back into the workforce now and go fuck himself. Is my whole point. But anyway, I digress. Let's see, not to be political or anything, but what is a
burger?
Yeah, but what is a burger? It's meat between two buns, is what it is. With some mayonnaise, some cheese, some onions. That's what that is. Oh, man. But, so on a lighter note, today was or yesterday. Well, which would be now yesterday. Yesterday was International Cat Day.
Aw, man.
Yeah. So, and I completely forgot about it. And and to those of to those of you in my Discord who saw the message earlier um, about the issue with the internet in my area, um, apparently they had a line break somewhere, and um, it was down for probably about maybe 3 or 4 hours. I think, I don't know. After I called Doc to let him know about the situation, not being sure that if it was actually going to resolve itself in time for us to be able to do the show tonight, and luckily it did. But yeah, they had a line break somewhere, and like I said, it was down for about 3 or 4 hours. I don't know. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, it was working. Wander has a question. What is the Krusty Krab secret recipe there, Doc? You have the big computer brain under your phone, under your cowboy hat. So
yeah, let's see. Krusty Krab.
Look out, Wanderer. Doc's doing Google foo.
Found it. SpongeBob inspired Krabby Patties. Believe it or not, I never really watched the show.
Oh, I remember what I watched, like the earlier seasons of it when it was really when it was just kind of dark, and the humor was really kind of touch and go, kind of tongue in cheek sometimes. That was when it was interesting to watch.
Okay, here it is. You want me to read it? Well, actually, after what happened last time when we got dinged for someone else's.
Just read it. Just read it.
Okay. Here are the ingredients.
Mayonnaise. Lots and lots of mayonnaise.
2 tablespoons of finely chopped onion and celery. 4 to 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil. 1 teaspoon of thyme. 1 pound of frozen imitation crab meat, defrosted and finely chopped using a food processor. 3/4 of a cup of seasoned breadcrumbs, 1 tablespoon of mustard, 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Add another cup for a dipping sauce. 2 lightly beaten eggs, salt and pepper to taste. 3 tablespoons of ketchup for a dipping sauce. 1 tablespoon of sugar. That was a Krabby Patty. This is the beef Krabby Patty. Ground beef, hamburger seasoning, sliced onions, tomatoes, sliced cheese. It's basically a hamburger.
Okay, well, see, here's my question. If they're making burgers, where's the beef coming from?
I don't know.
That's my question. Because it's not like you see sea cows anywhere in the show or anything like that. And they're obviously not eating crabs, because crabs are people in the show. Where the hell are they getting the meat from is my question.
Maybe it's just like kelp.
Hey, the Breakfast of Champions, a Krusty Krab burger. SeaWorld meat. So it's like imitation Shamu or something like that. It's like Shamu light.
Oh, so speaking of the corpses of the fallen, There was
mixed with the blood of your enemies.
There's a video from the 1970s where a whale had washed up on the beach. I think it was up in Washington State, and they were like, "How do we get rid of this?" Because it was like at peak beach season time, and they were totally afraid that people were not going to come to the beach because you had this huge whale carcass that was rotting on it. And somebody in the county got the bright idea, maybe we could blow this up, and then there will be smaller pieces, and the seagulls and other scavengers can come by and eat it. And the problem was when they went to go blow it up, they didn't know exactly where to stick the charges because nobody was a demolition expert. And on the video, when they blow it up and you see the whale carcass get blown up, the narrator says people start running and screaming for cover because flaming whale blubber is falling from the sky, and a 200-pound whale steak landed on someone's car like 1.5 miles away. I was like, I just want to see the insurance report.
Right. How do you explain that to Jake from State Farm? Like,
a whale fell on my car.
Yeah, like like a whale tenderloin fell on my car, and now I have no car. Do you really think that your insurance would cover that? Could that be construed as an act of God?
Maybe human stupidity, because if the city or the county did it, they would definitely have to pay for that.
Well, I mean, if it landed on a car 1.5 miles away, then clearly you would have heard the explosion. Is this video on YouTube?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to watch the whale blow up. Hang on. I'm going to try to find it.
Yeah, definitely I wouldn't play it on here because you remember last time a video was played on the show. But I just want to, I just thought something that would make it even funnier. What if
was this in Oregon?
Yeah, I think it may have been Oregon. It was either Washington or Oregon. I couldn't remember which. But it was from the 70s. And could you imagine, though, man, what if the guy, like, if this happened on Saturday, what if, like, that Thursday he had made the final payment on that car?
Oh.
Man, I am going to keep this car for 6 more years. And then this whale steak lands.
Why is this on YouTube? I question why a lot of things are on YouTube. As a matter of fact, if we want to bring that subject up, I was on Discord. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was last night. It was last night I was on Discord. And I just happened to be on Sir Hatman's server. Shout out to Sir Hatman. Hope all is well with you, good sir. And a very big shout out to our brother StooDogg. Hope all is well with you. Still haven't heard from him. I know he's had some videos and stuff he's been working on, and I've seen quite a few of them lately, but I just haven't heard from him. So, brother StooDogg, we love you. We miss you. Hopefully you'll come back and join us soon. Let us just, check in with us. Let us know how you're doing and everything. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that Wanderer. He was making a cup of tea and in real life and in game. So that was actually pretty interesting to watch. But I was on Discord last night, and I was looking through Hatman's server, and somebody had posted a spoof video It was South Park. It was a South Park esque. It was It was a South Park edited video, basically um, about uh, Jared Genesis, and basically it said Jared Genesis let out of tarred isolation or something like that, and I watched it. And of course, it was making, it was one of those episodes where they were making fun of Jared Fogle. Um,
So apparently, while you were saying that, and we were talking about this, uh, apparently it's not uncommon when a whale has beached itself, because a lot of times whales will do that to die,
yeah.
and it's not uncommon that as it starts to decay, that the body will fill with gases, and in that process, it becomes volatile, and it's the most. It's not unheard of and not uncommon that the carcass itself will explode.
Hey, what's up, Rage? Good to see you this morning. Good to see you this morning. Well, that's any rotting carcass. I mean, the human body fills with methane if it's not, if it's not released and everything done properly. I mean, that's the whole purpose of embalming. But anyway,
and it fills with methane, after you eat a bunch of tacos as well.
Well, that's very true, but then that's why you go and hit the shitter not long after that. But
I still love tacos.
Somebody had made this spoof video of him, and so basically, what I was under the impression, like apparently, like he was supposedly making a return to YouTube, and it was just a parody spoof, video making fun of him, of course, which is good. But Wanderer post, po, posed the question, why is stuff like that on YouTube? I ask myself that on a regular basis when I come across certain things, but my main question is, how was that D-bag allowed to stay on YouTube and consistently come back? Thank God that he has not come back, because to be perfectly honest with you, hang on, let's see, what's Rage saying? I woke up 2 hours ago and I'm kind of mad because I was planning on waking up around 4, but no midnight sounds great. Hey man, trust me, I've actually had instances where I've laid down to take a nap at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and woke up and it was 9 o'clock at night. So don't feel bad. But I've always just that's just one thing that I want I always wondered about when he was around, is how he was allowed to stay and consistently make more channels and more garbage content and get away with it. And thank the Lord, somebody finally stepped up and got, and I don't agree with the whole, posting, people's personal information, the whole doxing thing. I think it's bullshit, and I think if it's done in a hostile manner, then yes, it should be deemed illegal, and you should be prosecuted for invasion of privacy. In this case, though, I have to applaud that because somebody called his mommy and daddy and they got his computer taken away, or at least his internet or whatever. But the more time that passes, because let's face it, YouTube is never, ever going. YouTube has its own memory. Let's just put it that way. And he is not going to be forgotten. And I like that to the extent of if he ever decides that he's going to even attempt to try to come back, people are ready for him. People are ready for it. Um, that's putting it very very mildly, Wanderer. Trust me, that's putting it mildly. Some of the shit that I saw that guy do. Um, but yeah, I mean, people are ready for him, and
Well, I mean, you should be terrified of him because I saw some of his martial arts training videos, and I mean,
oh god,
so
I'm
scary.
oh
And,
god, I'm so terrified of his tarred foo
and,
that his
and
his
by
tarred.
scary, I have to say that anybody who would actually use that out in the streets would get their asses kicked.
His tarred food just makes me shit myself every time I think about it.
Yeah, it's bad. I was watching it, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got 15 years martial arts experience."
No, you don't.
Wait. So he says a line in there. There is a martial artist comedian named that you'll see some of his videos, Master Ken, and then he's like, "I've been to 50 dojos. No dojo can contain me." And then Jared goes and says, "Yeah, I've taken lessons in several dojos, been kicked out of them all because they just didn't like my brand of training." And you're like, "No, you're just an idiot and don't know how to train." And I just couldn't help but laugh after I heard that because it's like, oh my gosh, that's actually Master Ken.
Well, the fact of the matter is, I mean, and I really haven't talked hardly at all about him on here. Um, oh, Mr. Genesis is who we're referring to. Their rage. Um,
The one everyone
his
loves.
his martial arts will not harm me in my pink power armor or Doc's large hat with +10 to charisma, strength, and epic. I agree with that. Yes, and I mean it. I mean a turd in my cat's litter box could outwit the guy. I mean the um, but no, yeah, his tarred food just makes me, just literally shit myself every time I think about it. I'm so terrified, and you know, um, I mean, honestly, he would never have he would never have the testicular fortitude to meet anybody in person. Um, the guy's just a fucking windbag, and the longer he's gone from the internet and YouTube, the better. But it's like I was saying, people are ready for him, and if he ever decides to show that incredibly goofy looking face of his around on YouTube ever again, it will be such a joy to watch him be just completely destroyed at every single turn. Um, which, to be perfectly honest with you, um, let's see, the first time that he was taken off of YouTube, I think it was for about a year. If I remember correctly, it was a year. So, and to my knowledge, he's been gone about 9 or 10 months, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Getting close to a year already. So once we hit the year milestone, it'll be interesting to see if he comes back, and if he does, I can I can guarantee you it's going to turn into the exact same shit show that it was before. And just to watch that douchebag, there is a literal channel on YouTube that just posts all of that garbage all those garbage streams that he used to do. Like, I mean, honestly, now I can see why some people who do video gameplay and everything like that, if it's a new game or you haven't streamed in a while or something, you're going to want to go at it hard. You're going to want to stream for, you know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours or whatever. But this idiot would get on a website and play retro video games while streaming his computer stream or his computer screen and just sit there and talk shit and badmouth people, and then he would stop for a while. Like the streams got to the point where he was even like he wants to get pissed at people trolling him, but then he would turn around and go on like Plenty of Fish, and he would troll women on Plenty of Fish, and it's just, oh my god, the fact that somebody like that has not been put into a mental institution by his own parents or put in solitary confinement in a prison for at least the next 20 years of his life is beyond me. And, you know, it's like we were saying a while back, I would love to see someone do a psychological profile of him, because I've made my profile of him multiple times.
Well, and in those cases, it would have to be court ordered, because I do not see a guy like that voluntarily going to a therapist.
Well, he wouldn't have to do it voluntarily if his parents actually put him into a mental institution on purpose, where he so rightfully deserves to be.
Well, and that is much harder than people realize.
No, not really. I mean, you can go. I mean, you can literally go and check yourself into a mental institution.
Yeah, but it's harder to get someone else admitted to it.
Well, I mean, my whole thing, like, I saw the parody video, and I was just like, please, is he back, or is he coming back, or whatever it is? And Miss Raz was kind enough to inform me that it was just a spoof or a parody. I'm like, okay, that's good. As long as he is not anywhere near the internet or YouTube or any streaming service whatsoever, like live streaming service or what have you, like YouTube. And it was so funny because I remember he was saying one time that he wasn't going to do YouTube anymore, and he was going to start going to Twitch. And I got wind of this, and I actually went and watched him on Twitch, and it was the exact same shit. And then he was getting he only did like one video on Twitch, I think, and he was still getting trolled. He went right back the next day to YouTube, and he was like, man, I'm not going to do Twitch. I don't like it. Didn't really, it's not really, what I'm, wanting to do and all this. And so then I think he actually went to oh God. There's another, I can't remember what it is. There's a it's not Free Speech Tube. It's another kind of like similar. It's similar to YouTube, but it's more for live streaming than anything else. Oh no, it was I think he actually tried Free Speech Tube and he was getting trolled there. And then while he was not long after he went, yeah, they did. Yeah, they let him in their rage. I'm not exactly sure why, but um, he went. He actually he made. I don't know how he was able to do it, but not long after his placement into tarred isolation, um, he made a video and put it up on. Oh God, I can't remember the platform. I can't remember because he definitely couldn't have done it on YouTube. Um, but it was the only video that he made. And he was just basically saying, I'm going to start broadcasting here now and all this. And he got caught and he never made another video on that platform. And then he just vanished, which, like I said, is good. And the other fact of the matter is he lives in Texas. He lives in Texas. How in the fuck has one of the gun toting rednecks around there not gotten wind of him and just gone and just beat the ever loving shit out of him is my question. But the longer that he's gone from the internet and YouTube and everything else, the better. Because while there are still all these scumbags on YouTube and everything else, as for the time being, he is exactly where he needs to be, and that's doing whatever the fuck he's doing. I don't. Oh God. I mean, just. Oh. Wait, what? It's his Pornhub.
No. Don't give him that idea.
Yeah, don't give him that idea because this dude is a fucking predator, Rage. Come on, you have to remember that just as much as the rest of us. He's a fucking predator. He's a child groomer. He deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life. Actually, in my opinion, he deserves the death penalty, just like every other child predator and child groomer on the planet. They all deserve the death penalty.
Well, and what's so wild is, how many people have reported him to the FBI and to other law enforcement agencies.
We reported him to the FBI.
Yeah, and he, because I remember we went on, y'all. I gave you the contact to the agent that I knew, and y'all.
You put me in contact with a detective back in our hometown.
Yeah,
and I contacted him, and he called me later that day. I explained the situation to him, and he basically just passed me on to the FBI tip line.
Yeah,
which I did contact, and I reported him to the FBI, and I gave them like every channel name that I knew at the time. And I basically, I gave them my information. I confirmed, my identity with them because they will ask you to do that.
Yeah.
And I confirmed my identity with them. I gave them, my name, my location. They even asked me for my social security numbers so they could verify that I am who I say that I am. I gave them everything. I even told the girl on the phone that I spoke to, I told her, I said, I don't care whose desk this lands on. If they want to call me and ask me some of the things that I've seen on this guy, then tell them to feel free. But I told her very specifically, I said, let these guys know that there's every smoking gun that they're going to need on this asshole is on YouTube because, he was stupid enough to do this shit, and post it, and YouTube wasn't taken down, which in a way leads me to believe that YouTube at, at that point, I mean, because let's face it, anybody that was doing some of the shit that he was doing, especially when he openly admitted that, I mean, he didn't come right out and say it, but he did pretty much admit that he is in fact a pedophile. Well, whatever you want to call it, we'll say predator, but we're not monetized.
When a guy is saying that a 9-year-old should be able to consent, that's
right.
That's
right.
a pedophile,
right? But the fact that YouTube did not IP ban him and Mac ban him after that shocked.
Yeah, well, it is shocking, but at the same time, I mean, it's easy to get around that too. You can still spoof an IP address. You can spoof a MAC address.
He's not that smart.
Well, he doesn't have to be. I mean, a guy like that probably has some sycophants who would have done that for him.
Well, at the same time, fucking, that D-bag, I don't know what the hell he's doing now, and quite frankly, I really don't care. But my whole thing is, right, Wanderer, bye-bye, Jared. Basically what it boils down to is they allowed him to consistently stay up. They allowed him to continue to create email accounts and YouTube channels with no hesitation. Allowed him to continue to live stream and create content, which I don't agree with, and that really pisses me off. But I have to wonder, this guy would have had to have been reported to the FBI before we got involved in all this. I have to believe that.
Oh, most definitely.
Which also leads me to believe that YouTube and Google had to be under some kind of order to let him to not suspend him or ban him in any way. Take channels down, sure, but they were under some kind of order to not ban him, because I have a feeling that they were watching him. I have a feeling that they were watching his channels, watching his content and everything. And one thing that I do know, he would consistently complain about how slow his system was and all this other kind of stuff. And I actually asked someone about this not too long ago. Or actually, this was way before we started doing the show. And I actually asked somebody about this, and I said, well, what's the deal? Because he apparently knew how to keep his computer cleaned up and running properly to a certain extent. But but the person that I asked about this, I said, why would, if his computer system is clean, especially and it has enough, like, processing power and video card and all of this to be able to run games that he clearly admitted that he was downloading illegally, why is it slowing it down? And he was like, well, one of the reasons could be that they have cloned his hard drive. Like, they've literally cloned his system through his internet connection. And which was a concept that I had not considered, that they had actually cloned his system and they were basically just recording everything that he was doing. Hang on, let's see. What is this? He has a friend on the inside, and they were probably slowly uploading malware to his computer. I could be, but at the same time, I would like to think that the feds had cloned his computer, and they were monitoring. They were watching everything he was doing live. Honestly, I think I really think that he belongs in jail. And this is the last point I'm going to make on this, and let's move on. I think that he deserves to rot in a federal prison in solitary confinement for the rest of his natural life. He clearly has no remorse for anything that he has said and or done. I don't give a shit what anybody says that has interacted with him. This guy is a fucking creep. He is an insult to humanity itself, and he deserves to. Honestly, I just for being him and the stupidity and the sickness that he spilled all over YouTube, he could get the death penalty as far as I'm concerned. And now I'm off my soapbox. So this has been Preaching by Widows. Thank you for enjoying the sermon. Be sure to tip your waitress. But on a lighter note, hang on. Wanderer, if you're still here, I just sent you a message on Discord. Check your Discord messages real quick. I needed to ask you something. So, I'm just to the, I enjoy doing YouTube. It is fun for me, and we're sitting at 53 subs right now, and I would love to get more, absolutely, but I love the audience that we've created and the community that we're slowly getting together, and it really, it's like, like we say every week, we enjoy doing the show, and sometimes it's a little different. It's always a little different, and we need to, start, getting some guests on. Oh, and as a matter of fact, I'm already piecing together the panel show for this coming Saturday. Wanderer, I would love to have you on as part of the panel show. I reached out to Sir Hatman. I spoke with Cadenza briefly this evening on Discord. I thought maybe he might want to pop in and shoot the shit with us for a little while, but he was heading to bed, so he wasn't going to be here tonight. So I'm going to reach out to him and remind him again later in the week. I'm also going to reach out to Cryvel and see if he'll be available to come on. And then, of course, excuse me. And, of course, Doc and I will be here sharing the good times and all of that, So, panel show coming up a week, this coming Saturday. As you know, if you've watched the last couple of panel shows that I've done before, no specific topic. We'll just start talking. Once we get on a subject, we'll have a little bit of back and forth, and if it starts kind of getting kind of heated and everything, then we'll move on to something else. But they're always a lot of fun. Sir Hatman, if you listen to this later on today, I sent you a message on Discord and it's always an honor to speak to you, my friend. And it is an honor to always have you on the show. Like I've always told you, you are always welcome here in the Sanctum with us. And certainly hope that you will be able to join us this coming Saturday for a panel show, and just have a little bit of fun and a little bit of discussion. I actually have got the last several weeks on Fridays, like I haven't, because I was, a regular fixture in his streams, and I haven't been able to get back into them recently, and I feel really bad because, I'm a big fan of Sir Hatman, and I feel shitty because I haven't been able to, I've always ended up, something's always come up and I haven't been able to make it, but all in due time, and I will make it up to my mentor, as it were. So we're definitely going to shoot for a panel show this coming Saturday, and we're going to see who we can get to come on with us, and just have a little bit of back and forth, some laughs, and some good times. So please, everybody, make sure to tune in for that. I'm gonna go ahead and also we're gonna plug the Battle of Wits between Wanderer and Doc again. Gonna have that coming up in September for sure. I want to make sure that we get everything lined up properly for this massive event, which I am thoroughly looking forward to. I, once again, impartial, special guest referee, moderator, if you will, whatever you want to. God, every time I say that, I always feel like Dusty Rhodes. So, it's all. How's it all my fault? I have no clue. It's all Doc's fault. Blame him. It's the cowboy hat. The cowboy hat is what kind of screws. Throws a proverbial wrench into the whole thing. I don't even know if Doc's still there. He gotten quiet.
Yeah, I'm here. Just listening to you. So funny. So in odd, funny news, you guys got to hear this. I can't believe the words that are about to come out of my mouth.
I say that every time you open your mouth.
Yeah, that's what most people say. You're in the majority on that.
But
reading this out, the 2020 Libertarian Party presidential nominee has been possibly bitten by a rabid bat.
A rabid bat?
Yes. So Joe Jorgensen tweeted this out. I will not be able to attend the campaign rally tomorrow morning. I will be getting a rabies vaccine as a precaution after having been bitten by a bat near the start of this campaign tour.
Well, you should have bit its head off. Like if Ozzy Osbourne has taught us anything, when you see a bat, you grab it and bite its head off. So you didn't listen to Uncle Ozzy.
Yeah, it was when I saw that, I was like, this is like sounding like an episode of The Office, and it's like, of course that would happen. It's 2020. I mean, it's like 2020 is just the year where I think all the bad crap we have dodged is finally hitting us all at once. And so everybody's just like bracing themselves. And I think we all need to go ahead. Let's all just go ahead and make a pact right now. At the end of the year, every year when the year is closing out, people always say goodbye, fill in the blank year, so glad to see you go. How about we all just make a pact? We will all be glad to see 2020 go. We make a pact. We do not post that at all because apparently 2020 saw what we said about 2019 and took that as a challenge and decided to exceed the crappiness that 2019 was for a lot of people. We do not want 2021 trying to top 2020. Shoot for mediocrity 2021.
If I could honestly compare 2020 to something, because you see all these pictures like people are like 2020 is this, or 2020 were that. 2020 has literally been multiple Chuck Norris roundhouse kicks to the face.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is awesome. But yeah, if 2020 were absolutely anything, it has been it has literally been multiple Chuck Norris roundhouse kicks to the face.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm just kind of like, I'm not going to say anything because I just don't want to tempt 2021 or 2020 because I feel like anything we say at this point, it's like, all right, I'm going to kick you in the nuts again.
Well, Johnny Cage ball shots. Okay, okay, well, Rage, what about a Liu Kang bicycle kick?
To the nuts?
No, I mean just to this period. I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say you got to save Chuck when the old gods return. Yeah, I know. I think no. I think even the old gods would look upon Chuck Norris and be like, "We're not messing with that guy." So, yeah, Chuck Norris is going to be fine either way. I mean, let's remember that Chuck Norris's tears contain the cure for cancer. The only thing is Chuck Norris never cries. So I'm like everybody else. I want this year to get better, and I want next year to be better for all of us, and everything else, man. It just kind of breaks. It just kind of breaks your heart in a way to just see how everything has just kind of gone to shit. I mean, this year is really just, it's done a number on all of us. And I've said before that this whole virus thing and everything, it bothers me immensely because like in the course of the past couple of weeks, or in the last few weeks, I've been able to go and spend time with my mom and everything, but I haven't been able to hug my mom or anything like that. And I mean, this year has really just been a kick in the nuts to all of us.
Yeah.
And it bothers me to see everything that's going on and all this, all the suffering and hardship and heartache and everything that people are going through and experiencing. And, I'm of the mind that, I mean, I kind of have to kind of take a step back and look at the fact of what would we do if I don't even really know what to say, man. To be honest with you, I want people to. I mean, honestly, if I just have to lay it out there, and if I just have to lay it out there, just straight up, this is what I'm going to say. 2020 is a Goro fatality. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Um, this is really just kind of what I want to see. I want to see racism ended. I want to see people getting along. I want everybody to respect each other, love each other, and look out for each other because that's what we're supposed to do. That's exactly what we're supposed to do. We are all one under the sun, man. We are the fucking human race. We're supposed to be we're not supposed to be at each other's throats. We're not supposed to be, well, this race is better or that race is better. We're not supposed to be, oh well, the wealthy deserve tax cuts and the poor and the middle class don't deserve shit. We're supposed to all be equal. That's the one thing about it, man. I think that's the one thing that people fail to realize is in one of the greatest speeches of all time said that we are endowed by our creator that all men are created equal. And people have seemed to have forgotten this, that we're supposed to be a race of people and just as humanity as a whole, we're supposed to be looking out for each other, helping each other, taking care of one another. We're supposed to have leadership that gives a shit about the people that it looks after. We're supposed to be a society. We're supposed. I mean, and if you want to simplify it just a little bit more, the world is supposed to be just one big commune, man. It's supposed to, jobs and money and things like that. But we're all supposed to be taking care of each other. It's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And people have lost sight of that. People have lost sight of that. And see, instead of, and I like what Henry Rollins said. I was watching one of his spoken word performances. Actually, I have the DVD of it somewhere. And he said, we're all one under the sun, man. Instead of fighting each other, and I'm paraphrasing, but instead of arguing with each other or fighting each other, and saying, it's just like, well, I'm better than you or I'm better than you. We should all be, listening to Ramones and Aretha Franklin albums and having a good time. And I'm like, right on. I mean, I'm literally to the point with seeing people the way they do each other and treat each other and everything. And it's like I was talking about earlier, the blatant, complete disregard for intelligence and everything else is not. It breaks my heart, but it's like it's like I always make a point to tell my mom and tell my friends who are my family. I always make a point to tell them I love them because I do, because that's what we need. It's like the Beatles said: all you need is love. That's what you need, man. That's what we need right now. That, and I think everybody probably could benefit from taking a massive dose of LSD and reprogramming their brains. So, but anyway, Doc, what would you do if 2020 came for you?
Punch it in the face.
Punch it in the face. What if it didn't have a face?
Punch it in the balls.
What if it didn't have balls?
Punch it in the liver, because everybody and everything has a liver. And the liver shot will knock someone out.
Well, an amoeba doesn't have a liver.
Oh, hit it in its amoeba equivalent.
An atom doesn't have a liver.
Well, I will just tell them to.
I'm poking holes in your theory here, man.
I would tell the atoms to make like a banana and split
and create a nuclear explosion.
Yeah, but maybe like on the Bikini Atoll, where we tested nuclear stuff and it's already damaged with a lot of radiation. So
can you believe that it's been so long since Hiroshima? Did you see that on Facebook?
Yeah, 75 years.
Right.
So one thing a lot of people don't realize that happened right after that is there were people who survived both of the bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and some of the survivors had the patterns of their clothes like burned into their flesh permanently. And even if they didn't have that happen and they survived the bombings, in Japan there was some superstition surrounding them, and they wound up they are compensated by the Japanese government for the rest of their lives for their suffering.
You're assuming that 2020 is a man. It's a man. You're sexist.
Well, then I'll punch it in its baby maker. I don't know.
You're gonna punch it in like the left ovary or something.
So yeah, 2020. Yeah, I watched someone try to take that part of the conversation out of context.
Well, okay. Well, let's just say that 2020 is unique. Let's just say that it's a unit.
Okay.
I'm
gonna break its legs.
You're gonna break its leg. I actually saw something on YouTube. I was watching a video or something on YouTube a while back, talking about the shadow people of, I think it was Nagasaki or Hiroshima, where there are still buildings standing where you can see the outline of people that were scorched into the building. And like they actually show shots of that, and I was very, very taken back by that. I mean, I couldn't believe that there was like that, like things like that were there. I had never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, it was. Well, you can go. Look, there's I think the Capitol building, but they have the structure that it was the lone remaining structure standing after the bomb went off.
Yeah.
And it serves as a reminder of what happened. And there's a painting done called The Unforgettable Fire, which is the painting that when the guys from U2 went to the museum and they saw the painting, had such an impression on them. They named the album they recorded right after that The Unforgettable Fire.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and then there's you could go to YouTube and watch an anime depiction of the bomb being dropped. And I mean, we're talking like it just shows people's faces melting. And granted, it's animated. But
well, now, there's actual footage of the actual drop.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so when you look at all the nuclear testing that went on between the countries, primarily Russia and the U.S., well, the Soviet Union and the U.S., it was brutal how how little time it took them to go from the Fat Man and Little Boy bombs that blew up Hiroshima and Nagasaki to the Tsar Bomba, which was the biggest bomb ever detonated. In fact, when the Russians detonated that one, they had to put a parachute on that bomb just to slow its descent so the plane could get out of the shock wave in enough time. And it's still, even with that, it still barely got out of the danger zone. And it's like, how many megatons? Let's see. Sorry.
Yeah, Rage, you do have a point there. I mean, that was one of the points that they made in that video that I was watching about
Tsar Bomba was 27 metric tons.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's blast yield 50 megatons of TNT.
And what were Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Let's see, looking this up. They were 15 kilotons. And we're looking at 50 megatons for Tsar Bomba.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Which is, I think you know, I don't know what the world's coming to, man, but it's a scary, scary, scary thought.
Yeah.
But well, guys, it is getting about that time. We've got just a couple of minutes left. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Wanderer, thank you for waking up early and joining us. Rage, thank you for popping in. Faith, thank you.
Thanks, y'all. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do. Faith, thank you for tuning in while you were heading home. But next Saturday, we're going to try to do the panel show for sure. I'm going to reach out to everybody later in the week, and like I said, we're piecing the battle of wits between Wanderer and Doc here. So we're going to have that coming up. So we want to hype that up as much as possible. Guys, it's a joy to do this for you every week, and sometimes we do get off on subjects and we rant and talk about things, but this is a way for us just to kind of get how we're feeling about things out, get our feelings out about certain things out there. And that's why we like having, guys in the, you guys in the stream interacting with us and everything, because we want your guys' input too. We want you to be here having fun with us. That's one of the reasons we love doing this. So guys, all of you, much love to all of you. We love all of you, and we're so glad that you enjoy the show that we do. So the Battle of Wits coming up in a few weeks. Do a press conference-esque show. We'll bring Wanderer back on, and we'll get some trash talking going, get everybody warmed up for the big SmackDown going on. Panel show Saturday. Hopefully, I'm going to reach out to people later this week, and we're going to start working on some guests and getting some guests back in here with us, and just have a good time. So, pass the streams along to people you think that would be interested in them. Hit the subscribe button, get the notification bell on. We really appreciate that. Doc, you got anything you want to say before we call it a night?
No. Other than thanks again, y'all.
We Doc's a man of few words, and we all know that. So, guys, once again, always a pleasure. We love each and every one of you. And until next week, peace be with you.